Today we're going to be making our sourdough starter. Why sourdough? Well, I'm back on the sourdough train after lots of years of not being on it because of all the maintenance and the waste that it incurs. But I'm going to try a new method, which is a very, very small sourdough starter. And yeast is kind of hard to find right now, so we're going to be using yeast today that's found in these Brussels sprouts. So this yeast bloom on here, you can see the lighter bluish white areas are actually yeast. So we're going to take those leaves off, and actually you can feel it's kind of powdery. And I've got a little bowl of water here. You could use tap water, is fine for this, but I like to boil my tap water and then cool it down to get rid of a little bit of chlorine. After I wipe the leaves off in the water, you can see that some of that powder is gone now. I'm going to go ahead and find the leaves that have the most blue on them, continue to wipe them off in the water. Alright, so I've harvested the yeast off of this pile of Brussels sprouts leaves, and now we're going to put together our starter. We're using all-purpose flour for this. I've got a little jar here, about an 8-ounce jar, and we're going to put in 10 grams of AP flour, so it's not going to be a lot. And then we're going to tare our scale, and we're going to add 10 grams of this yeast water, and we'll give it a nice stir. Just a note that I washed the jar out very, very well before I started, and we're just going to set the lid on there very loosely. Hopefully this will speed up the starting making process, so go through your fridge, look for blueberries, Brussels sprouts. Kale has a lot of this bloom on it sometimes, so you have a lot of options. So it's time to feed our sourdough starter, and it smells really good and yeasty already. We're going to reserve, it should be kind of liquidy. It should be kind of liquidy like this, and starting to get bubbly. So I'm going to reserve about 5 grams of this, actually about 7, since I'm going to be putting 5 grams back in this jar after I clean it. I only have 1 jar, so I have to measure it out like this, then go wash this jar. Okay, I'm back now with a clean jar. So the first thing we're going to do is put 10 grams of our flour in the jar. And we did discard what was in the jar, so there's a little bit of waste, but keeping a small starter like this, the waste should be minimized. Alright, so there's 10 grams. Alright, every time I'm making this, I'm using the yeast water that we harvested, which should speed up the entire recipe. So we're going to do 10 grams of this yeast water. And then we're going to add our 5 grams of starter back in. And we'll give that a stir. Mix it back into a smooth paste. Alright, and we will do this once or twice a day until it's ready to be used, until it's bubbly and active and ready to bake with. We'll have to build it up, we'll have to step it up when we're ready to bake for a couple days. And again, the lid's just going on very loosely here. So leave it out at room temp, feed it once or twice a day.